Hey guys, hello, hello. It's good to see you guys. Going live on all my devices. It's good to see you guys on Instagram and on YouTube and on Facebook. It is so great to be here, guys. Tonight is a pretty somber topic. I know you guys have heard the headlines. I know you guys have heard the news that we have lost 500,000 people, 500,000 Americans to COVID-19. That's what we're going to talk about today, because what more important could there be than to talk about that? Um, I'm going to let people jump on for just a quick moment. Just wanted to give you a hint of what we're talking about. Of course, I know you guys see it in the title. It's great to see all of you guys on YouTube, on Facebook. Just a really sobering headline, right? It's like unbelievable, honestly. And I'll just tell you this before we get started today. I was at work all day. I actually just got home. You know how I do on Monday nights. I get home, I throw on my makeup, because oftentimes I don't wear makeup at work because I'm wearing all my PPE and stuff like that. I change my clothes and to talk about whatever the latest headlines are with you guys, right? And this topic kept coming up and up on my Twitter feed, et cetera, and I really hadn't gotten a chance to read the news about it until I got home, and it just is unbelievable. So that's what we're talking about today. So you guys have joined. It's great to see you guys. I'm Dr. Jen Caudle, by the way, for those of you who do not know who I am. I am a practicing family physician. I'm just sharing this to my other groups. That's why I'm doing this. Some people get annoyed when I do this. They're like, you should have everything ready before you get started. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is how I do it. I don't know. I'm a practicing family physician. I was in the office this morning, actually this afternoon, this evening, and I'm an on-air health expert, so I go on lots of news channels. I know many of you guys might have seen me on news. Hold on. There we go. And also I'm a video creator. You guys know me on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, and I love and appreciate and adore every single one of you. It's so good to see you guys. Sandra, you just wrote in and said you got your dad's shirt, the one that said I've got my COVID shot. That's awesome. So glad you got your dad one. These I'm selling on my website, as you guys know, drjencaudle.com/shop, donating a portion of the proceeds to the Red Cross, which of course is helping Texas relief, which is so greatly needed. Also helping COVID relief and so many other things that the Red Cross does. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is not an elephant, right? It's unfortunately our lives. It's real life. And let me start by telling you guys this. So I call my mom on the way home. I call my mom on the way home from work, and I call my mom on the way to work every day, because I talk to my mother like multiple times a day. I don't know if any of you guys are like this, but I literally talk to my mom all the time. And I said, hey, Mom, she said, what are you going to talk about during your live today? And I said, oh, I'm talking about the headline about 500,000 Americans that have died from COVID. And she says, isn't it a shame? I said, oh, my gosh, it is. And I said, you know what, Mom? I said, how many family members have we had die from COVID? And how many family members have we had have COVID? Like, how many family members have I had that have had COVID? And we started adding up the list. It turns out that my family has 14 people in my family, extended family, that have had COVID. And we've had 3 people of those 14 people die from COVID. In addition to that, I had, as many of you guys know from a live that I talked about my dear friend Steve, who's a coworker and a friend who I'd known since I was in medical school. We lost him to COVID a few weeks ago. So also a dear friend. And it's kind of crazy. But my story is not unique, right? We all have stories like this. Unfortunately, all of you have people that have gotten COVID. Maybe you've gotten COVID yourself. You know people that have died from COVID. You probably have family members that have died from COVID. I wanted to read you some statistics that I've recently read, just sort of in researching this segment, because I just think it's really important that we pay homage to those who have passed, and we show reverence to the family members and to the friends and the loved ones of those who have passed as well. What more is there? What more important things could we possibly have to talk about today? And that's at least how I think about this, right? Um, 1 in 670 Americans have died of COVID. And that means that, the thousands of followers that are out there, you guys, I talk to you every single day in some way, shape, or form. That means that I know that you likely have people that have died from COVID in your family or friends. I'm not the only one. Okay. In addition to that, though, I don't know if you guys saw the video I posted earlier today. We know that our life expectancy in general has declined as a result of COVID deaths. What does that mean? And you can take a look at this video. It's posted on YouTube and on Facebook. I reposted it today on Facebook. But the life expectancy calculated from the first 6 months, I believe it is, of 2020 shows that our life expectancy actually declined by 1 full year. Likely with COVID, impacting that, making a difference, having a big influence in that. And of course, the life expectancy has dropped even more for people of African American descent, people of color, etc. So, but that's not all. I mean, the next statistic is one that I think really kind of blows my mind. And I might have said this before in some segment I've done with you guys, but the United States is 4.25% of the global population. In other words, our country makes up a little over 4% of the world population. But get this, the United States makes up 20% of the world's COVID deaths, which, guys, think about that. We're only 4.25% of the world's population, but yet we are 20% of the world's COVID deaths. And as I mentioned before, 1 in 670 Americans has died of COVID-19. We know that 500,000 Americans lost to COVID is more people than we lost during World War I, World War II, and the Vietnam War put together. So those three wars combined, we've lost more people to COVID than those three wars combined. And I should also say, too, which you might have gathered, is that the U.S. has had more deaths from COVID than any other country, And I remember Sanjay Gupta saying something about this. He said something about this in one of his broadcasts, and I thought it was just so bright and wise. He said, for a country that is first in so many things, country that's thought of as being first, that's thought of as, first for so much, how is it that we're last when it comes to COVID-19, right? Right? That's kind of a thing. How is it that we are, and it looks like my chat, by the way, on YouTube is stalled. So I don't know why that's the case, but it is. I'm sorry, guys, on YouTube. But, how is it that we can be first in so many things in this country, but literally be last with this thing called COVID-19? We've lost so many people. I don't know. That's Sanjay Gupta's words. He came up with that. And I was like, whoa. When I heard it, I was like, that's pretty deep. Because it is, right? When you put it like that, it's kind of insane. Okay. So this and today is really about respecting and honoring everyone, all of you, all of us who've lost people to COVID, honoring those who've gotten sick with COVID, those who are still dealing with symptoms from COVID. I have a number of patients that I've been seeing lately with long hauler symptoms. We know that about a third of COVID patients, I'm not sure if it's third of COVID patients or I got to get this right, but let me put it before I give you the statistics because I want to make sure I get it right in my head. But we know that long haulers, that is people who have COVID and end up with symptoms afterwards, those symptoms can last for months. It can take months for the shortness of breath, for the decreased functional capacity, that is the ability to kind of go out and do your thing, brain fog, all this stuff, taste, smell, etc. It can be months for this stuff to come back. So, this is, this is really important. So I guess I just wanted to talk to you guys because that's what we do, right? We talk about these things and we share. And for all of you guys who are watching, I so appreciate you. If you have lost someone to COVID, put a heart in the comments. This is our chance to acknowledge you and to your family, your friends, etc., and to those that we have lost, because this is huge. This is really life changing, and America will never be the same. You know that the United States will be will be a different country after this. I often think, I was talking to my mom, well, always talking to my mom, but maybe it was this morning when I was driving to work, when I was talking to her, and I said, Mom, I think when we look back on this, oh, that's what I was talking about, because I was talking about COVID, because I'm often thinking about COVID, right? And I was thinking about how there's a lot of sort of analogies about the COVID vaccine, COVID time, to things like the HIV/AIDS epidemic in the 80s and other epidemics and things that we've had in the past, right? And I said to myself, and I said to my mother, I was like, you know what? I bet, first of all, in 20 or 30 years, we're going to learn so much more about COVID that we never knew. Because right now we don't understand why people are long haulers, why they may end up with symptoms, right? We know with long haulers, as an example, you don't have to have necessarily underlying conditions. You don't have to be older. Young people who are perfectly healthy who get COVID, that's even a mild case of COVID, can end up with long hauler symptoms, right? We don't understand it. There's so much we don't understand fully why people get blood clots and all the stuff that it does to the body. And I said to my mother, I said, I bet in 20 to 30 years, we're going to have answers that we couldn't have imagined now. And I bet we're going to look back and say, you remember 2020? Remember 2020? Just like back with the HIV/AIDS epidemic in the 80s, right? Remember the 80s? Remember the time of in AIDS and HIV is not gone anywhere. Let's be very clear, right? But in terms of the time when it was brand new and we were trying to figure out, what is this? What's happening? Why are people getting sick? Who's getting sick? What are the risks, et cetera? I bet we're going to look back and we're going to say, remember 2020? I think it's going to be a pre-COVID versus post-COVID thing. We're going to say, was that pre-COVID? Was that post-COVID? When we look back in time and we think about what we're doing and what's happening in the world, was that before COVID? Because 2020 was the year really where all of our lives changed. It really did. Miriam, you said you have a friend that's fighting now with COVID. Well, we're going to send her lots of prayers. That's the reason for doing this, by the way, is so that we can support one another. Because remember, we're all in this together, as I always say. We're going to get through this together as well. I always say that too. But I want to hear, Laura, you're a new follower. Well, thank you for being here on Facebook. Let me hear, let's see here, prayers for all of us. Renee, you listed someone who's fighting. Angelina, you said, I lost a friend of 40 years, a cousin and an uncle. I'm so sorry to hear that. You're all mentioning people that you've lost, people that you're honoring. And as I mentioned before, I'm reading these comments because this is so important. When I repost my chats, I repost them so the comments often go away. So I like to read them as soon as possible. Clinton says, we must care about our lives. Our hearts must be strong enough to do the right thing and care about ourselves. Wear your mask, please. Clinton, that's an excellent message. Lisa Peach, you said, sending prayers to all who've lost others. Many of you are tagging people in this message, and I appreciate you doing that. Barbara McLemore, you said your son had it in April, and he said it was worse than when he had cancer and took chemotherapy. He said he would get vaccinated as soon as he could. It's scary. These stories are remarkable. Jerry Hamilton, you lost your loved one. Anyway. Charisse, you asked, how is it that my daughter tested positive for COVID and me and my husband tested negative? I want to talk about that just a little bit, actually. I didn't plan to, but it's something that a number of my patients actually lately have struggled with. So actually, your question brings up a lot of really important sort of thoughts for me. I have a number of patients who have gotten COVID, or rather particular situations where a family member has gotten COVID and maybe has not done well, but the significant other or the spouse or the other family members have been fine. And sometimes there's feelings of guilt, like, why wasn't it me? Or why didn't I get it? Sometimes there's feelings of confusion. Why didn't I get it? Mystery. And the truth of the matter is, we know with this condition, just like so many others, right? I mean, look, with the flu, yeah, it's likely that if you get the flu, other people in the household will, but sometimes that's not always the case. There are many different reasons why one person may get COVID and the other person may not, from personal variables to underlying medical conditions to all sorts of other things, and probably many things we don't understand yet. So what I would say about that is, please, I don't know how else to say this, but I had one patient where I literally had to tell her where she felt guilty about her family member who she cared for with COVID. She felt guilty because her family member didn't do very well, but she did. She felt guilty. She felt bad. She felt a sense of guilt. So please understand that there's a lot about this condition that we don't understand. Please understand that there's a lot we don't understand. That's a statement for you, but it's really, really true. And understand that, nothing in life is 100%. Even though you may be exposed, doesn't necessarily mean you'll get sick. Okay. The other thing I want to mention, though, is as we're talking about and paying homage to those that we've lost and to our family members. And remember, as I said, I was driving home, my mother and I said, how many people have we had in our family that have had COVID? How many people have we lost to COVID? We calculated, my family has had 14 people that have had COVID. Of those 14 people, 3 people have died from COVID. And that's my family. And then, as I mentioned, I have a dear, close colleague and friend who died of COVID as well. I think one of the reasons why it's important to pay attention to this is because it also illustrates the importance of us doing what we can, right? And I know I seem a little more somber and a little bit more down than normal, but it's true because these are crazy times. This is the reason why, those who we've lost from in America, let's not have their deaths be in vain. Let's not have the loss of these people that we love and care about so much. Let's not have that be in vain. Let's get the COVID vaccine as soon as we possibly can. Let's encourage other people to get the vaccine. Let's wear, as Clinton said, let's wear our masks and social distance and not be with other people and stay in our own bubbles. That's one of the best ways, I think, that we can show respect to those that we've lost and those who are fighting COVID right now, is to do the things we know we need to do. With that, I want to share some good news. And by the way, I have not thanked you guys, but thank you guys so much for the stars on Facebook. You guys are sending stars, and it's so very sweet of you. Linda, thank you for the stars. Hold on, wait a minute, hold on. Trying to get my thing right. I'm always trying to get all this stuff right. Linda, thank you for the stars. A few others. Oh, wait, hold on. Here we go. Keith Walker, thank you for the stars. Michael Kutzner, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Jerry Hamilton. And also on YouTube, thank you for the super chats and the super stickers. And also on Instagram, I appreciate you sending badges. Just so you guys know, I answer you guys' questions first. On Instagram, I can't always answer your questions in real time. So if you send badges, I prioritize your questions and just send me a DM and I will write you back the answer to your question the best I can. Okay, so let me share a little bit of good news so that we're not all Debbie Downer over here. According to the CDC and other sources, there have been over 75 million doses of the 2 COVID vaccines have been distributed, which is a lot. That's distribution. Now, that's not the same as putting shots in arms, but to that point, we have given and administered over 63 million vaccines into people's arms, which, by the way, guys, that's awesome. That's me, that's you, that's people you know and love. And, guys, I know that many of you are concerned about the COVID vaccine. And one thing I should say, too, is I have a lot of people that say to me, well, I want to wait a little bit and just see how other people do. And I respect that. I totally respect that. However, you know what? Just so you know, 63 million people have gotten the vaccine. So maybe it's time. Just the idea that, there have been tens of millions of people have gotten the vaccine. And I know you may want to wait a little longer, but please understand that, people are getting the vaccine, millions and millions and millions. And by the way, if you have questions or concerns about the COVID vaccine, or you want to hear from real people, not just doctors, about the vaccine, you can go to my Facebook group called I Got the COVID Vaccine. I think it might also be logged under I Received the COVID Vaccine. I don't know, but it's my Facebook group. We're growing. We have, almost close to 2,000 members. People are posting, I got the COVID vaccine today. You'll get a naturally built-in support group. If you have questions, you can ask them to the group. Some people are asking about side effects, describing what they had, what they didn't have, how easy it was, giving suggestions on how to get the vaccine. So make sure you check that out on Facebook. This group is really just to inspire and motivate the world to get the vaccine. I know how I felt when I was waiting to get my vaccine as a physician. All my doctor friends and healthcare provider friends were getting the vaccine. They were posting their cards and this and that before we knew not to post the cards. But I almost had like vaccine envy. I was like, oh, what if I got to get mine? And I realized that that little encouragement does a lot for a lot of people. So I wanted the same thing for everybody. So check that group out. I got the COVID vaccine. Barbara McLemore, you got both of yours so far. I love that. That's excellent. Let's see here. Joy, you're scared, but you'll get the vaccine when you're called to get it. I love that. Sharice, you're an educator. You got the vaccine shot. I love that. Put a little thumbs up in the comments or your favorite emoji if you got the COVID vaccine. Whoop, whoop, holla to the COVID vaccines. So just a little note about that. And other good news is that over 43 million people have had at least one dose of the COVID vaccine. So where there's a lot of sort of doom and gloom appropriately, and we've lost too many Americans. Again, we've lost more Americans from COVID-19 in the last year than we lost from World War I, World War II, and the Vietnam War put together. But there is hope, and there are things that we can do. And let's make sure that their loss and the loss of their precious lives is not in vain, that we do whatever we can to honor them and also everyone else that is still here. That is wear our mask. That is social distance. That is get the vaccines when we're called to get the vaccines. That is, doing all that good stuff. People wonder, sometimes people ask me why I talk about COVID. I talk about a lot of things, and every day I try to post a video that's not COVID related, because I know some of you are probably like, oh my gosh, COVID again. But I talk about COVID because of this. 500,000 people, and as I mentioned, 14 people in my family have gotten it. 3 people have died. One of my good friends, and you guys have stories just like mine. I'm not the only one. But just know that we're in this together, okay? And that's why I'm one of the biggest cheerleaders for us trying to do everything we can to fight this pandemic. And as I've always said, we will get through this together. My job is to try to provide some education and also create a safe space for support too. So consider joining. I got the COVID vaccine. I also have my group on Facebook called Healthy Living with Dr. Jen, where I post about, and we all post about different health stuff. And then, of course, I have my subscription groups, Dr. Jen Superstars, where you get super extra perks. That's on Facebook. And then my subscriptions on YouTube as well. I made T-shirts called I Got My COVID Vaccine because I wanted people to be excited about getting the vaccine. And shoot, I'm excited about it. And I also wanted a way to not only encourage people to get the vaccine and to show support and to show like solidarity and like woohoo, but also to give back. And again, a portion of the proceeds is donated to the Red Cross, which is, of course, they give to Texas and to COVID relief and so much more. And also you can maybe encourage other people to get their vaccines, multiple colors, multiple sizes at drjencaudle.com/shop. So this is my message to you. Okay. There's hope. There just is. Even though we've literally been to the bottom, there's also good news in that COVID cases are decreasing. They are. Thank God. Hospitalizations are decreasing. They are. Thank God. We can do a lot. We can do a lot, guys. So let's get to it. Let's keep sticking with it. That sounds like a corny Iowa phrase. Sounds like something that a girl from Iowa would say, doesn't it? But yeah, just know that we're in this together. We will get through this together. Anyway, guys, thank you for the stars, the super chats. Thanks for hanging out with me. In honor of everyone that we've lost, everyone who's fighting for their life with COVID, for everyone who still has symptoms, we are with all of you and your family and friends. And let's honor them by doing everything we can to make sure this pandemic goes away as quickly as possible. Guys, I'm Dr. Jen Caudle. You know I love you. I'll be back tomorrow with some more stuff, chatting about something. Okay, hang in there, and we'll get through this together. All right, bye. Bye, YouTube.